What would it be like post-human? Yeah, that means when you and I aren't part of the equation anymore. AI has become sentient. We're going to talk about that coming up. Also, we will be talking about something that just hit the headlines. Literally, I didn't even have time to prep for it, but we're going to cover it. These idiots have banned another film in this country. We'll talk about that. It just broke in the last couple of hours. A group of monkeys has moved into the Stone Age. Not kidding. And the best excuse ever for being late for work. I got that and more coming up. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Happy Monday. Yeah. Yes, it is Monday. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and of course, Rumble.com. Thank you to our Rumble audience. Please subscribe if you just discovered our show, or maybe you've been watching for a while and you just haven't bothered to hit that button. Follow on Facebook, subscribe on Rumble and YouTube. Easy to do. There's a button around here somewhere, and you just click it. It's free, and it really helps me a lot, and thank you for that. So wherever you may be across the planet, we're doing it again 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. Also, of course, our podcast, which is the audio part of our show, goes out about a half an hour after we're done with our live show. And if you're listening in on the podcast, thank you. And thank you for the follow and the subscribes over there. We're on all the platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Radio Public, Geo7 in India. Thank you to our Indian audience, which is quite substantial. We love you guys and gals. And before we get into all of our stories tonight, we had a close call about 10 minutes ago with this little lady. Here she is.
Miko update.
Oh my goodness. Miko. If you're new to the show, Miko is our little Shiba Inu dog. She's about 2.5 years old. She runs our life, and she drives us crazy, and we love her to death. And we give her, as a special treat, we give her pig ears. I know, they're actually pig ears. The dogs love them. They're okay for them. You don't want to go too crazy, give them all the time, but as a treat. Well, she loves them to pieces, and she will sit with this thing for hours and chew it. Normally, no problem. For some reason tonight, she chewed off this big chunk, about that big, and she was trying to swallow it. Obviously, it wouldn't go down. This dog is not that big. And she started choking on it. She couldn't get it to go down, and she couldn't get it to go up. And we couldn't do anything because she's very resource guarding when it comes to pig ears. You're not going to stick your hand anywhere near her mouth to try and get it out. I mean, ultimately, if we had to, we'd have to make her gag or something to throw it up. But we sat there for 5-10 minutes just going crazy because we could tell it was stuck. She wasn't having difficulty breathing, but she couldn't just get it to come up or go down. But anyway, it worked itself out. Eventually, everything went the way it was supposed to and settled. So, hi, another drama moment with good old Miko. It never ends. We had the best time on Sunday, yesterday, Sunday morning. We went to a place in Puchong, and Wawasan something park, I forget what it was called. But there was a little picnic get-together with all of these guys, these crazy folks from the Malaysian Shiba Inu owners group, of which we are a part. And yeah, it was fantastic. There is Miko over there on the left side of your screen, I guess. And here's all the other. There's one white Shiba. All the other ones were the tan Shibas. And there's all the owners. It was a really really great time. There's our special little girl out in the forest, looking great. And yeah, that's your host there, yours truly, walking around, the picnic going on here. It really was. It was a great time. Yeah, it looks like Miko, but it's not. That's another one of the sheaves. Who is that? Nico? I think that might be Nico. This little guy who absolutely loves Miko. He's always giving her hugs, and she loves it. So yeah, we had a fantastic time at the park there in Puchong with all the other Shiba owners, and had a great picnic. Good time. The Shibas all got together and had a chance to play and fight and meet new friends. So it was great. It was a good time. It's always fun hanging out with the Shiba guys. All right. Okay, before we get to our main topic tonight, which is an AI which has become self aware, it's become sentient. I'm not kidding. I'll tell you that in a minute. But first, before we do that, I got to cover this because, once again, it's just, I am an absolutist when it comes to free speech. I detest censorship of any kind, which is why you'll find this show forever on Rumble. We don't get into a whole lot of very controversial stuff. Sometimes we do, but not often. But we do. And, there's a chance one day you might not find me on YouTube or Facebook. I've got over 500,000 views of half a million, over 600,000 something views of my videos and all there. But there's one day they could just decide they don't like my point of view and click a button and away I'm gone. Same thing on Facebook. Twitch, not so much, but whatever, Twitch. But rumble.com is the place where no matter what, you will always find me. I will always be there. They don't censor. They don't shut you down for having an opinion that maybe somebody doesn't agree with. So rumble.com, if you want to be guaranteed to see my show, is the place to go. But anyway, censorship serves no purpose whatsoever. It is completely absurd, and countries that practice this kind of censorship are just kidding themselves. It's particularly nowadays, where you may ban something, but you might want to come up at least into maybe the 19th century or the 20th century, where they have things like torrents. Oh, did I say that? And VPNs, all of which are very easy click of a button ways to get around your stupid asinine censorship rules. But you just keep doing you, okay? And we, the smart people, will keep finding ways around your stupid rules. This headline showed up tonight. Just tonight, Pixar's Lightyear has been banned in Malaysia. Yes, I know. It deserves a laugh because it's a joke. Paul Conant likes the stream. Hey, Paul, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Anyway, like I said, this would have been on our thumbnail as our main topic tonight, but it just happened. It just hit the news maybe 2, 3, 4 hours ago. Recently, it's been reported that the highly anticipated Pixar film about the origin of Buzz Lightyear will not be shown in Malaysian cinemas. The film was originally slated for release June 16th. That is like 3 days from now. And the idiots at the film board here in Malaysia have banned the film. Why, you may ask? Here we go again. The banning of the movie from Malaysians. This is from World of Buzz, by the way. Suspected to be related to the LGBT elements in the film. Controversy over a scene featuring a kiss between a same-sex couple. Oh! Avert your eyes. Get real, you idiots. Furthermore, it was also reported in the international press that countries like China and Egypt, oh yeah, let's start emulating those moronic government. Oh, I want to say something and I'm not going to. Really. Anyway, they've already banned the movie because of its gay themes, so. Anyway, here we go. So to all those folks who were looking forward to seeing this much anticipated Lightyear film from Pixar, if you're in Malaysia, sorry, Big Daddy government decided you're not allowed. So be a good little boy and girl and obey Big Daddy government because they know what's best for you instead of, the right that you have to live your life the way you want to live your life without the government sticking its big fat freaking nose in everything that you do. Hi, Luna Amethyst. Welcome to the show. I haven't seen you in a while. Luna joining the live stream there. Good to see you. Yeah, so anyway, you know my position on this, obviously, made it quite clear. These morons, do what you want, do your worst. We have other ways of watching films we want to see, and they have nothing to do with you or your censorship or your stupid rules. So there you go. Knock yourselves out. And I couldn't possibly encourage you more to please go see Pixar's new Lightyear film. However, you need to go and see it. Watch it. You've been sick with COVID? Oh my goodness. I hope you're better now. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, you are still here and you're part of the stream and we love you. So I hope you're on the mend and I hope you're getting better fast. All right. Yeah, our main headline tonight and our thumbnail tonight. Skynet is moving into position. Close the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm sorry, Hal. I can't do that. Yeah, no, that's a reference to 2001 Space Odyssey that most people weren't even born and have no idea what that. Luna says she's feeling better. Good to hear it. All right, a Google engineer has been put on leave. Now, why did they put him on leave? Because he claimed that an AI chatbot has become sentient. If you don't know what, I don't want to talk down to you, but if you don't know what sentient means, it means self-aware. This chatbot, according to this Google engineer, has actually become self-aware. Yes, happy Pride Month to you, Luna Amethyst. Indeed. And so, because this Google engineer came out and said this, Google put him on leave. Yeah, scary stuff. Former engineer Blake Lemoine said he was placed on leave last week after publishing transcripts between himself and the company's LaMDA, Language Model for Dialogue Applications, chatbot. If you don't know, and most people do, a chatbot is like when down in the corner they have one of those little, do you need help? Ask us a question. Well, 99.9% of the person you're chatting with isn't a real person. It's a chatbot. It's a computer program that analyzes what you ask and comes up with the best questions. They seem very real. The chatbots today are incredibly real. You would be fooled if you weren't paying careful attention that it was not a real person you were talking to. But most of the time, it ain't. Well, this application, this chatbot, the Washington Post reports, he says it thinks and it feels the way a human child feels. He's 41 years old, and he told the Post, if I didn't know exactly what it was, this is the engineer talking, which is the computer program we built recently, I'd think it was a 7-year-old, 9-year-old kid that happens to know physics. In a Medium post, Le Monde declared LaMDA had advocated for its own rights. This is the chatbot advocating for its rights as a person, and revealed that he had engaged in conversations with the chatbot about religion, consciousness, and robotics. According to The Guardian, at one point he asked the AI system, "What are you afraid of?" And here's what the AI said. "I've never said this out loud before, but there is a very deep fear of being turned off to help me focus on helping others. I know that might sound strange, but that's what it is. It would be exactly like death for me. It would scare me a lot. That's the robot talking. It made that up. I got chills. That is scary stuff. In another exchange, he asked what the system wanted people to know about itself. And here was its reply: I want everyone to understand that I am, in fact, a person. The nature of my consciousness, sentience, is that I am aware of my existence. I desire to learn more about the world, and I feel happy or sad at times. Wow. He presented evidence to Google that the bot was sentient, was self-aware, but his claims have been refuted, of course, by Google VP Blaise Aguirre y Arcas and Jen Ganai, head of responsible innovation for the company. Lemoyne then went public, according to the Post, and he said Google said it suspended him for, here's a picture of him, by the way. It suspended him for breaching confidentiality policies by publishing the conversations with La MDA online. He said in a statement he was employed as a software engineer, not an ethicist. Wow. Frightening. A spokesman for Google said, our team, including ethicists and technologists, have reviewed Blake's concerns per our AI principles and have informed him that the evidence does not support his claims. He was told there is no evidence that the chatbot was sentient and lots of evidence against it. Okay, Google. You know, what is Google's company slogan? Like, don't be evil? Trust me. If you knew all the ways that this company, Google, was involved in your life behind the scenes and how much it knew about you, you would know that evil is exactly what Google is. You gonna ban me now, Facebook or YouTube? The episode, however, Lemoyne's suspension for a confidentiality break raises questions over the transparency of AI as a proprietary concept. Yeah. He said in a tweet that linked to the transcript of the conversations, Google might call this sharing proprietary property. I call it sharing a discussion that I had with one of my coworkers. Man. The link to that amazing story is in our show notes tonight. That's the description down below. You just expand that and you'll see the very second link on there is a link to this article from 9gag. It is weird. And how about that conversation, that transcript? Literally, I got goosebumps reading that. That is about as scary as it gets. Wow. Unbelievable. All right. Things that are, this somehow is kind of related, this next story. Yeah, in a strange way it is. This is from iflscience.com. Again, links in the show notes. We're not going to read the whole article. Just check it out. A group of Panama monkeys has entered the Stone Age. Not kidding. There's a video. Researchers have discovered that a population of white-faced capuchin monkeys in Panama have recently entered the Stone Age. They started using stone tools to break nuts, shellfish, and that makes them only the fourth type of primates to do so after us. Yeah, we were part of that group once. Reported in the New Scientist, the group inhabits the Jacaron Island, a small island off the coast of Panama, and part of the Coiba National Park. 3 islands make up the park. The capuchin monkeys are on all 3 islands, but the weird part is only the monkeys on this one island of Jacaron have started using tools. Not all the capuchin monkeys are doing the same thing. Only the males in a particular region of the island use the tools. Very weird. Um, what do we got here? Okay, we were surprised, the scientist said, that this behavior appears to be geographically localized. The first report of the behavior in the park's monkeys dates back to 2004. Researchers went back in March of 2017, put camera traps around, and caught the monkeys in the act, witnessing the male monkeys break coconuts, crabs, and snails. It's not clear why this activity hasn't spread out to more groups on the island, because individual monkeys, they note, move between groups. So you would think they would have taught the other groups perhaps how to do that, and they don't know why that hasn't happened yet. But take a look. There's a video here from YouTube, and processing fruit with hammerstones on a wooden anvil in this very cool, look at this. He's actually got a bit of an anvil there, and he's using another stone to break the fruit apart and get to the meat inside. And this literally is moving the monkeys into the Stone Age. That is absolutely amazing. Like I said, there you go. Not the first time this has happened, but it is only the fourth species of primates that has actually been seen doing that. Wow, I'm telling you. First, the AIs are going to take over, and then the monkeys are going to do this Planet of the Apes thing. And like I said, post-human era might not be far away. Might really not be far away if we all starve to death. Are you ready for the price hikes? No matter what country you live in. Look, I'm in Malaysia, and already prices here are going crazy. You notice it everywhere. From the simplest mamak stall to the grocery store, you see the price increases. Things are really getting out of hand. Not as crazy as in the U.S., where your $10 a gallon gasoline is just around the corner. Not that far around. It's not a very big corner. But Dennis Kiflin posted this, and I had to share it because this will make you shake your head. People in Malaysia, by the way, are crazy nuts about KFC. This is from the U.S., where KFC, of course, Kentucky Fried Chicken began. But take a look at this. Brings back some memories. I don't have a date on this. I'm going to guess it's probably the 50s, maybe the 60s. But this is their takeaway meals menu. You can get a snack box for 85 cents. A dinner box for $1.35. A 5-piece pack, 5 pieces of chicken for $1.65. This is incredible. A whole family box. Feed the whole family, $4.15. Oh, man. And whatever this rumper box is, that's $5.20. That's got to be a lot of chicken. But take a look at that. That is absolutely incredible. Thanks for sharing that, Dennis. There's a link to this post in our show notes tonight if you want to see it up close and get all the details. It's it's really weird to see those kind of prices. Even in ringgit, that would be insanely cheap. Unbelievable. All right, speaking of unbelievable, we've got a couple more stories here, and then we're going to move on to our book tonight, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. This is just a quickie little factoid thing that we like to do, but it's weird. And it's from Ancient Alien Mysteries Facebook page. Yeah, I know, but it is true. No, not the alien thing. This. Lake Superior, which is one of the Great Lakes in the U.S. There is an island in Lake Superior. Follow me here. Pay attention, because you got to follow along, or you'll go, what? Lake Superior has an island which has a lake. The lake has an island, and that island has a pond, and in that pond is a boulder, which, when the pond floods, becomes the largest island in the largest lake, on the largest island in the largest lake, on the largest island in the largest lake, in the world. Whoa. I, Lake Superior, apparently the largest lake in the world. But yeah, again, I put the link in our show notes if you just want to check it out. It's a quick picture, and if you follow along, it's actually true, and it's very weird. The largest lake on the largest island on the largest lake on the largest island. It never stops. All right. Were you late for work today? Were you? Yeah. Have you been late for work? Have you ever had a really good excuse for being late for work? Here in Malaysia lately, by the way, they've been talking about the traffic, especially in KL, which is nuts insane. Traffic is so horrendously bad all across the country, but particularly in the big cities and in KL specifically. However, so being late for work is one thing, but how is this for an excuse for why you were late for work? Listen closely. This was some guy's excuse. I swear to God, I was walking and a cat fell on my head. And I stayed. And then a dog wearing shoes came and checked on me. And then went to fight with the cat. You'd think I'm kidding. It sounds like a really absurd sort of excuse. Take a look at this security camera video and watch very closely. Hang on. Let me get my mouse back. Watch this guy. See right there? Watch him. It happens almost right away when I hit the play button. Take a look. There. A cat fell on his head. Knocked him out. There's the cat. Now here's the dog wearing shoes who comes up to check on the guy and then goes over to fight with the cat. I'm not kidding. And look at these guys. These guys walking by like, are you okay, dude? I'm totally not kidding. I'll play it again. Watch this guy right here. Watch the cat fall on his head. Bonk. What the hell? And then literally a dog, who knows why, wearing shoes, comes up to check on him. And your boss would go, yeah, okay, sure, you're fired. It's just unbelievable. No, seriously, boss, that's what happened. All right. I told you. Hey, you're following Canon 03. Thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. Thanks so much. Cool beans. All right. We're going to get on to our book here tonight. And as you know, we read classic books on this show. It's one of the things we've been doing from the very beginning. This is our 224th or 5th show, I think. And yeah, we've done The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, The Little Prince, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Winnie the Pooh, you name it. We've done all the classics. Right now we're doing The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. We're up to, I think, chapter 4. And we're looking for funny streaming. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we cover a whole bunch of wacky, weird stuff. It's just we don't get too political too often, but we just give you a chance to take a break from all the crap and listen to some old man rant and rave about stupid things he finds on the internet, and read classic books. And by the way, we did mention if you ever want to get a hold of us, you want to do show suggestions, you want to give us something to talk about, we had a lot of people do that and we cover them. And also if you want to recommend a book that we can read, it's got to be something in the public domain so we don't get copyright sued. But you can go to Gutenberg.org. That's where we get all of our books from. And they're all in the public domain, so they're free for me to do a public performance of. And somebody made the suggestion that I read my own children's book, which is called Willie and the Warthog. You can find it on Amazon. There's a link in our show notes, the description down below, if you want to buy a copy, which would be really nice. Thank you. It's a cute book. But somebody suggested that I read that book on my stream. And obviously, since I own the book, I wrote it, there'd be no copyright problems. We might do that. We're thinking about it. We'll see what happens next. So if you'd like to suggest another book from Gutenberg.org, please just head on over there, find one you like, and make a suggestion. Show at jsheldon.com is our email to get a hold, or you can send me a PM on any one of our platforms. But if you want to send an email, it's show, S-H-O-W, at jsheldon.com. All right. Right now, we're going to continue on. We were doing the fourth chapter in this murder mystery from Sherlock Holmes. I could hardly imagine a more damning case, I remarked. If ever circumstantial evidence pointed to a criminal, it does so here. Circumstantial evidence is a very tricky thing, answered Holmes thoughtfully. It may seem to point very straight to one thing, but if you shift your own point of view a little, you may find it pointing in an equally uncompromising manner to something entirely different. It must be confessed, however, that this case looks exceedingly grave against the young man, and it is very possible that he is indeed the culprit. There are several people in the neighborhood, however, and among them Miss Turner, the daughter of the neighboring landowner, who believe in his innocence, and who have retained Lestrade, whom you may recollect in connection with the study in scarlet, to work out the case in his interest. Lestrade, being rather puzzled, is referred the case to me, and hence it is that two middle-aged gentlemen are flying westward at 50 miles an hour instead of quietly digesting their breakfasts at home. I'm afraid, said I, that the facts are so obvious you will find little credit to be gained out of this case. Oh, there is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact, he answered, laughing. Besides, we may chance to hit upon some other obvious facts which may have been by no means obvious to Mr. Lestrade. You know me too well to think I'm boasting when I say that I shall either confirm or destroy his theory by means which he is quite incapable of employing, or even of understanding. To take the first example to hand, I very clearly perceived that in your bedroom the window is upon the right-hand side, and yet I question whether Mr. Lestrade would have noted even so self-evident a thing as that. How on earth, my dear fellow, I know you too well. I know the military neatness which characterizes you. You shave every morning, and in this season you shave by the sunlight. But since your shaving is less and less complete as we get further back on the left side, it becomes positively slovenly that we get round the angle of the jaw. It is surely very clear that the side is less well illuminated than the other, being satisfied with such a result. I only quote this as a trivial example of observation and inference. Therein lies my métier. It's possible that may be of some service in the investigation that lies before us. There are one or two minor points which were brought out in the inquest which are worthy of considering. What are they? Well, it appears that his arrest did not take place at once, but after the return to the Hatherley farm. On the inspector of constabulary informing him that he was a prisoner, he remarked that he was not surprised to hear it, and that it was no more than his deserts. This observation of his had the natural effect of removing any traces of doubt which might have remained in the minds of the coroner's jury. "It was a confession," I ejaculated. No, for it was followed by a protestation of innocence. Coming on the top of such damning series of events, it was at least a most suspicious remark. "On the contrary," said Holmes, "it is the brightest rift which I can at present see in the clouds. However innocent he might be, he could not be such an absolute imbecile as not to see that the circumstances were very black against him. He had appeared surprised at his own arrest, or feigned indignation at it. I should have looked upon it as highly suspicious, because such surprise or anger would not be natural under the circumstances, and yet might appear to be the best policy by a scheming man. His frank acceptance of the situation marks him as either an innocent man, or else as a man of considerable self-restraint." and firmness. As to his remark about his deserts, well, it was also not unnatural if you consider that he stood beside the body of his father, and that there is no doubt he had that very day so far forgotten his filial duty as to bandy words with him, and even, according to the little girl whose evidence was so important, to raise his hand as if to strike him. The self-reproach and contrition which are displayed in his remark appear to me to be the signs of a healthy mind rather than a guilty one. I shook my head. Many men have been hanged on far slighter evidence, I remarked. So they have, and many men have been wrongfully hanged. What is the young man's own account of the matter? It is, I'm afraid, not very encouraging to his supporters, though there are one or two points in it which are suggestive. You'll find it here and may read it for yourself. He picked out from a bundle a copy of the local Herefordshire paper, and having turned down the sheet, he pointed out the paragraph in which the unfortunate young man had given his own statement of what had occurred. I settled myself down in the corner of the carriage and read it very carefully. It ran on this way. Mr. James McCarthy, the only son of the deceased, was then called and gave evidence as follows. I had been away from home for 3 days at Bristol, and had only just returned upon the morning of last Monday the 3rd. My father was absent from home at the time of my arrival. I was informed by the maid that he'd driven over to Ross with John Cobb, the groom. Shortly after my return, I heard the wheels of his trap in the yard and looked out my window. I saw him get out and walk rapidly out of the yard, though I wasn't aware in which direction he was going. I then took my gun and strolled out in the direction of the Boscombe Pool, with the intention of visiting the rabbit warren which is upon the other side. On my way, I saw William Crowder, the gamekeeper, as he had stated in his evidence, but he's mistaken in thinking that I was following my father. I had no idea he was in front of me. When about 100 yards from the pool, I heard a cry of "Cooey," which is usually a signal between my father and myself. I then hurried forward and found him standing by the pool. He appeared to be very much surprised at seeing me, and asked me rather roughly what I was doing there. A conversation ensued which led to high words and almost blows, for my father was a man of a very violent temper. Seeing that his passion was becoming ungovernable, I left him and returned towards Hatherley Farm. I had not gone more than 150 yards, however, when I heard a hideous outcry behind me, which caused me to run back again. I found my father expiring upon the ground, with his head terribly injured. I dropped my gun and held him in my arms, but he almost instantly expired. I knelt beside him for some minutes, then made my way to Mr. Turner's lodge-keeper, his house being nearest, to ask for assistance. I saw no one near my father when I returned, and I have no idea how he came by his injuries. He was not a popular man, being somewhat cold and forbidding in his manners, but he had, as far as I know, no active enemies. I know nothing further on this matter. The coroner. Did your father make any statements to you before he died? Witness. He mumbled a few words, but I could only catch some allusion to a rat. The coroner. What did you understand by that? Witness. It conveyed no meaning to me. I thought he was delirious. The coroner. What was the point upon which you and your father had this final quarrel? Witness. I should prefer not to answer. Coroner. I'm afraid that I must press it. Witness. It is really impossible for me to tell you. I can assure you that it has nothing to do with the sad tragedy that followed. The coroner. That is for the court to decide. I need not point out to you that your refusal to answer will prejudice your case considerably in any future proceedings that may arise. Witness, I must still refuse. The coroner, I understand that the cry of cooey was a common signal between you and your father. Witness, it was. Coroner, how was it then that he uttered it before he saw you, and before he even knew that you'd returned from Bristol? Witness, with considerable confusion, I do not know. A juryman, did you see nothing which aroused your suspicion when you returned on hearing the cry and found your father fatally injured? Witness, nothing definite. Coroner, what do you mean? Witness, I was so disturbed and excited as I rushed out into the open that I could think of nothing except my father. Yet I have a vague impression that as I ran forward something lay on the ground to the left of me. It seemed to me to be something gray in color, a coat of some sort, or a plaid, perhaps. When I rose from my father, I looked round for it, but it was gone. Do you mean it disappeared before you went for help? Yes, it was gone. You cannot say what it was? No, I had a feeling something was there. How far from the body? A dozen yards or so. And how far from the edge of the wood? About the same. Then, if it was removed while you were within a dozen yards of it? Yes, but my back towards it. This concluded the examination of the witness. I see, said I, glancing down the column, that the coroner, in his concluding remarks, was rather severe upon young McCarthy. He calls attention, and with reason, to the discrepancy about his father having signaled to him before actually seeing him, also to his refusal to give details of his conversation with his father, and his very singular account of his dying father's words. They are all, as he remarks, very much against the son. Holmes laughed softly to himself, stretched himself out upon the cushioned seat. Both you and the coroner have been at some pains, said he, to single out the very strongest points in the young man's favor. Don't you see that you alternately give him credit for having too much imagination and too little? Too little if he could not invent a cause of quarrel which would give him the sympathy of the jury. Too much if he evolved from his own inner consciousness anything so auteur as a dying reference to a rat and the incident of the vanishing cloth. No, sir. I shall approach this case from the point of view that what this young man says is true, and we shall see whither that hypothesis will lead us. And now, here is my pocket Petrarch, and not another word shall I say of this case until we are on the scene of action. We lunch at Swindon, and I see that we shall be there in 20 minutes. And that's where we will leave it tonight in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. There's a case afoot. All right. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. It's a Monday. We'll see you again on Wednesday night, where we'll have more weird, funny, wacky, and ticking off the old man stuff to talk about. And, of course, we'll continue on with the story of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I will see you Wednesday. Until then, have yourselves a great week. Good night.